Okay, we just heard a speech. Mike Pence, who's now been elected as the vice president nominee for Donald Trump. That's who his pick is. And Mike Pence, pretty much glorifies Donald Trump overnight. No, he has never said anything about Donald Trump before, but all of a sudden he's the best thing since sliced bread. And Mike Pence is likening Donald Trump to be like Ronald Reagan. Now, if Donald Trump is anything like Ronald Reagan, we need to really brace ourselves. Because Ronald Reagan was a Hollywood actor. And he brought to the United States of America one of the most deadly poisons that's ever come to the soil of America. No, it didn't take going to war in some other country. But to this day, the effects of this poison is still in this United States of America. And there are other countries that have banned this poison. And Ronald Reagan literally pushed this through the FDA. And all those that pushed this through with Reagan are all in high positions now at Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and other major corporations for soft drinks and different things like that. And I'm talking about aspartame. Ronald Reagan is the one that this United States can thank for aspartame. Now, aspartame has over 250 to 300 side effects. It caused brain tumors in rats. Now, you will never hear them speak on CNN or Fox News, or anybody will never breathe a breath about Ronald Reagan and bringing this poison into the United States. But it never would have happened if he didn't push it through the FDA. Never would have came into this country. And like I've told you, it's banned in most countries. Most countries won't even allow it into their country. So when you look at who the vice president and everybody else seems to be comparing Donald Trump to, there you have it, Ronald Reagan. Now, I told you Ronald Reagan is also the one. By the way, Ronald Reagan actually died from the symptom or from the side effect of the drug that he pushed through the FDA. He died of Alzheimer's, which is a side effect of the aspartame. Did you know what aspartame does, people? Aspartame never leaves your bloodstream. That means if you have aspartame in your body for up to a year, and then you stop taking it for a year, and then you start up again a year later, the what's in your bloodstream from the year that you were taking it is still in your bloodstream, and it continues to grow. And what happens is aspartame is the excrement, okay? It's the excrement of bacteria. Well, bacteria is not good for us, but this is the excrement of bacteria. That's what aspartame is. And I've talked to even my daughters. I tell them that they shouldn't be chewing gum because most gum out there has got aspartame in it. I look at their ingredients and I look at the package and it says, sure enough, aspartame. Daddy, it's sugar-free. And I try to tell them, and you know what they say to me? They say, Daddy, it tastes so good. And I said, Rachel, it might taste good, but it's not good for you. And this is kind of an emotional thing for me, people. This is something that I've been fighting for years, and I just feel like sometimes I feel like it's nobody's listening to me. But my, thank you, Jesus. Aspartame has some of the most heinous side effects. You ever heard, these drugs they come out with on the commercials on TV trying to promote their drugs, and they tell you all the side effects of them? Like you'll see a drug for depression, and they say the side effect could be suicide. I mean, come on. You're having a problem with depression, and now this drug could push you over the top to commit suicide. Now that could become a comedian's joke, right? In the world we live in today. But let me assure you that death is no joke. But aspartame turns to formaldehyde in the body. Formaldehyde's a deadly, deadly poison. Now, they use formaldehyde to embalm a body after they're dead. So, for all intents and purposes, those that are partaking of aspartame are being embalmed before they're dead. Yeah. Being embalmed before they're even dead. So, I've explained to you that part of Ronald Reagan's legacy. I could go into more depth, but I'm not going to right now. The other part of Ronald Reagan is that the Hollywood act that he put on with his dear old friend Gorbachev. You will see George Bush Sr. and Reagan and Gorbachev with their arms around each other standing in front of the Statue of Liberty. It's an iconic picture that the world holds as an iconic picture. You can just Google it on the internet and you'd find it. And they're all buddies. They're all friends. It's not they're just coming together because trying to bring peace between the countries. No, it's not about that. It's about a new world order. Are you listening? Remember, George Bush Sr. talked about a new world order, but Ronald Reagan talked about an alien invasion upon the United States. And what if, he says, and what if we have an enemy from without? Now, listen. Without question, they're going to use this alien invasion to bring about this new world order. But when Reagan stood outside the wall and said to Berlin, when he stood out there outside that wall, and he said, Gorbachev, tear down this wall, and then just days later, the wall comes down. That was not because Ronald Reagan found favor with Russia. That wasn't because God blessed America. That wasn't because that Reagan had this way with his voice or had authority and Gorbachev listened. No. It had nothing to do with it. It wasn't Reagan's influence that brought the wall down. It's a more sinister plan. You think about it. When the wall came down, those people thought they were free. What they didn't realize is they had become more of a prisoner than ever. Are you listening? The New World Order is much more of a prison than those that had a wall around them in Russia. When the Iron Curtain came down, a greater prison was made. And every time they promise you something they can't fulfill, like Donald Trump does, he makes a greater prison. They're empty. It's empty hope. It's no real hope. And so for Donald Trump to be likened unto Ronald Reagan, I think what Donald Trump will do for the United States of America will bring a terrible war to this land. I think he's going to enrage other countries with his bully spirit. This idea that he's going to go over there and destroy ISIS, you can't destroy a regime that the United States elite, the industrial complex, the establishment has erected. How can you destroy something that, maybe Donald Trump doesn't know that. Maybe he needs to get his head out of the sand, but once he gets into the White House and he gets to the point where he's speaking with those in the secret, in the CIA and the Pentagon, he'll find out that they made that. But they are the ones that developed ISIS. ISIS is not a radical Muslim that came, or Muslims that came out of Islam. That's not what it is at all. It's not radicalized Islam, as many would like you to believe. ISIS was developed by the CIA. Did you hear what I just said? ISIS was developed by the CIA. And even the killings, right now, the shootings, the things that go on in the United States, that's CIA operatives that are doing these things. Did you not know that these people can be programmed to commit suicide so that they will never be brought before anyone to divulge the truth? That's part of their programming. What do they call it? The Manchurian candidate or whatever? You don't think they've developed a few of these by now? Of course they have. Absolutely. And it's programmed into them to self-destruct. And all it takes is a trigger. One trigger word. And all you got to do is call this gunman up in Dallas, speak to him on the phone and just say one word. It's all they got to say. And he'll commit suicide right on the spot. It's MK Ultra programming. That's why they did, that's what the whole project was about. So I believe that without question, Donald Trump will continue to forward the solution, what they call the solution, which is genocide. And obviously Ronald Reagan was a better actor as far as his career in Hollywood, but Donald Trump is a better actor in the sense that he's a greater hypocrite. Are you listening? You need to remember this too, that Ronald Reagan's wife was into astrology. Where does that have any place in Christianity? Astrology? And they're saying now that they're saying that Pence is actually a Christian. He says he's a Christian. He's a liar. He's not a Christian. He's a Catholic. He's not a Christian. Donald Trump's not a Christian. He's a Catholic. Catholics are not Christians, and there's no such thing as charismatic Catholics. Get it out of your mind. That's something the Pope started years ago. One of the popes, I think it was Paul, started what was called the charismatic renewal. When the Christian world, the true Christian world, started hearing that Catholics were speaking in tongues, you should have known right then. Should have known right then that was not of God. You can't speak in other tongues, in the Holy Ghost that is, and still be a Catholic. You can't be a pagan Catholic and be a blood-washed, born-again Christian. You're going to have to give that up. You have to give up the idolatry, the relics. You've got to give up your association with the most wicked Pope. You got to give up your association with the Jesuits. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that Donald Trump with Mike Pence working together with the Vatican, working together with Rome, working together with the Jesuit, the Brotherhood, this Mafia. Donald Trump is part of the Mafia. I should play that audio clip for you all where Donald Trump is having a conversation with somebody and he sounds just like the Godfather. I mean, he sounds just like the Mafia. Just like the Mafia. Just like these movies you see with the Mafia. That's exactly what Donald Trump sounded like. Now, what would happen if Donald Trump came on the stage in front of the people and was talking like the Mafia? How far do you think he would get? Do you know what the Mafia is about, people? Do you know what the Mafia does? It's all about money. That's what the Mafia is about. It's about money. And Donald Trump learned a long time ago he wasn't going to get anywhere until he started playing the game. And he knows Mafia goes all through the United States and they get their money. Every single night they go to every casino. They hit every casino and they take their money. The Mafia are drug lords. The Mafia are interconnected throughout the whole world. They call themselves the family. And it doesn't just consist of Italians. The Mafia are involved in Santeria. They're involved in witchcraft. And people, wake up. Realize what's going on here. If we get Donald Trump in the White House as the president, you might as well have the Godfather in the White House. Are you listening? You might as well have the Godfather, because that's who he is. That's who Donald Trump will be for the United States, the Godfather. And he will run the White House in that fashion. Now, as far as his wife that read from a teleprompter last night, when I looked up and saw her, she looked no different than one of these quote-unquote angels of Victoria's Secret. Donald Trump is using his wife as a he's using sex sells, people. And she didn't have to go up there in a skimpy clothes or whatever, no. But she has the image of one of the Victoria's Secret models, the angels, and that really appeals to men in the United States and even lesbians. She might be a good person as far as, I don't know. But what I'm trying to tell you is the reason he's using her. You need to understand that everything Donald Trump does, everything he surrounds himself with, is about his image. It's all about his image. That's why he chose Melania. Her image. He liked what she brought to him. Yeah, she might be intelligent, but you must understand that most of what Donald Trump's involved with, she doesn't even know herself. I'm going to tell you again. In fact, I'm going to make another message. I'm going to entitle the message, Donald Trump, the Godfather, because that's exactly who he is to the United States, although he's not the real Godfather. The real Godfather is the Pope and the Jesuits that work with the Pope, the sitting Pope. Did you know a Pope is really a king? Did you know that? They consider him a king. And all those popes that are in succession waiting for him to replace him are called kings. That's what they consider them, kings. That's what they... And we're literally watching Rome taking over the whole world right now. The city that sits on 7 hills. We're watching it. We are watching the Jesuit takeover of the United States of America. And I'm going to tell you another thing. Donald Trump keeps on saying that Mexico's going to build that wall. He's against Mexico, saying Mexico's going to build this wall. But listen, that only means he's working with Mexico. If Mexico's going to build the wall, it's no different than Reagan saying to Gorbachev, tear down this wall. If Mexico builds the wall like Donald Trump says they're going to, then we got more problems than we thought we had. That means that he's working with the cartel in Mexico. Do you know that Donald Trump has his suits tailor-made from Mexico? Did you know that? You wouldn't believe the blood that is on the hands of Donald Trump. And of course, he wouldn't say that he has blood on his hands. He'd be like Pilate that says, I'm washing my hands of this innocent man. Donald Trump washes his hands of it because he doesn't touch it directly. But his blood money and the murder and all that goes on, there's still blood on his hands because he's the one that orders it. People, wake up. They're murderers. Jesus said, you are of your father the devil, and what he does, you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning. You think he's going to stand on stage and show his true colors, who he really is? And when it was said that Donald Trump had two sides of him, it wasn't that that he has a clone of himself, like some are saying out there. No. He has one side he puts on for some people, and he has another side he puts on for other people. That, in my book, is called two-faced. I'm going to say it again, that Donald Trump, without question, is connected to a mafia apparatus that goes throughout this whole land and throughout the world. And it's connected with the Jesuits, the Jesuit order, and the Jesuit order is connected to the Masons, Knights of Malta. I do believe that if Obama doesn't bring martial law in the United States, Donald Trump will. Donald Trump will. People, you need to take your heads out of the sand and realize when Michael Pence says that Donald Trump is a good man, and he keeps on saying this over and over, yeah, you tell the people something long enough, they'll believe it. Donald Trump is not a good man. And because his brainwashed children lie about their dad and come off like their dad is this great man, this great hero, what has he done that's been so heroic? What has Donald Trump done in his life that makes him a hero? Nothing. Nothing. Didn't even go in the military. Never fought for his country. But he's a hero? Now, I'm not saying Hillary Clinton's any better, people. I just don't talk about Hillary Clinton because she's so bad. Don't ever think that I'm in any way siding with Hillary Clinton being president. That's a joke. She needs to be put behind bars. She's a criminal of criminals. But I'm just telling you, I don't want you to have false hope and think Donald Trump is going to be something he's not. Donald Trump will run this country into the ground probably further than Obama. Anger, doing things out of anger is never going to help this country. Doing things out of, I'm going to tell you right now, the first thing on Donald Trump's agenda is going to push his weight around. He's going to go try and blow up or take out ISIS. You can't take out a phantom. You can't take out a figment of your imagination. You can't take out something that's not real. ISIS is nothing more than a phantom, people. It's a self-made imagination. It's a figment of someone's imagination, just like the war on terror. It's a phantom. People are chasing ghosts. They're chasing phantoms. You say, well, Brother Joseph, who's doing all the killing? I already told you. The CIA is. The CIA, the Pentagon, is nothing more than a pyramid, people. This goes back to Babylon. This goes back to Egypt. The CIA operatives are not out there taking out foreign, enemies of the United States. They're used to further the ends of the New World Order, to bring in this New World Order. And anybody that gets in the way of the United States government, they'll just send in an operative to take them out. You don't know. Nobody knows who a real CIA agent is. Nobody knows. They're sworn to secrecy. Even after they, even after that they're outed as a CIA, they'll go out and kill that person. They'll take them out. They'll give them a burn notice, and they'll go after them. And they'll be running for their lives at that point. And they'll do everything they can to speak evil about that person and try to destroy them. They'll distance themselves from that person. They'll speak terrible things about them. You think, oh, well, I'm safe if I'm a CIA operative. No, you're not. No, you're not. You become their property. Anything they want to do with you from that point, you're owned. If they had it their way, they'd make every single American citizen in the United States a CIA agent. And they're even saying that about Donald Trump right now. They're saying he's an agent of change. He's an agent of change. Agent of who? Well, the CIA is shrouded in secrecy. You got the pyramid with the all-seeing eye on it. Listen, just think about it, people. Just take a minute to think. Don't just keep being brainwashed by what they want you to believe. Think for yourself. That's what's wrong today. Is people don't think for themselves anymore.